Hi folks, it's Mark from MT.TrainRestorations. I'm back again with a new project. Something I don't usually do, but for a video on YouTube. But I have acquired a couple of these American Flyer train stations. I think it's a number 755 or something like that. I don't remember offhand, but I think that's what it is. Pretty cool. Mystic, Connecticut station. I'm thinking that's what it's from. I used to live in Connecticut many years ago, and we used to go to Mystic during the summer. Pretty cool there. They got some old ships in the harbor and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, this one doesn't work, but all the parts are here. Well, actually they weren't. This was missing. This plays a little record, which is kind of cool. I like these stations. I have a couple of them, and each one was missing certain parts, and they're hard to come by. So I always try to find these stations where I can rob parts off of. So I have three. One's working pretty well. This one here needs to be cleaned real well, so on and so forth. It does turn very slow. Again, this actually plays the record. There's a little needle in here I put in it. It was missing a needle. This is from the third station. It seems pretty hokey, but it actually works fairly well. This produces the sound from that record, and this is the needle that you use in these. It fits in there pretty. You just tighten that up, and if you listen, actually you can hear that it produces the sound from me rubbing on it fairly well. So, and this is just a small toilet paper tube type of thing, cardboard, but it works. And the record, as you can see, is down below, and this gear spins that motor, turns that record, and this drum unit, this type of drum unit, has a couple knobs on it, a couple notches, and these three fingers. Let me get my big finger out of there and use something a little bit smaller. How's that? Let me find my little probe here. But there's a knob here, and I think there's one on the other end, and it hits these fingers. I don't know if you can see those all that well, but there's a little finger here, that when these rotate, each finger actually works a different function of the station, which is kind of cool. So when this worm gear drive spins this, turns the record, down below it's got another worm gear that drives this, turns the drum. It will actually activate the record. This will play, and then the light will come on, which is activated by another finger. And then when it's over, it will go back to normal. It'll go back to the beginning of the record, and then the light will go off. So, which is kind of cool. They thought up all those functions and did it in a form of a rotating drum and finger scenario. That's why there's a 4-wire lead that comes off of here, and the way it's connected to the track, you can connect it with a pressure sensitive connector, that when the train comes around, it will stop, and then the light will come on. You hit a button and it does this, you hit another button and it goes off, and so on, and it's kind of cool. The station itself has a couple sliding doors, one here, one over here, and windows are missing. It does have a couple, like these little plastic windows. It's missing a lot of those, which I think are still available, but most of all the other parts are hard to come by. I was able to find needles from a fella online on eBay. I bought a actual, I got a talking station record from him, which has a diesel sound on one side and steam locomotive on the other side. And the station manager talks and announces the train will be leaving on track, whatever, and so on. And I got 3 needles and a record from him, which was great. I put the new record in the first station I did, which is kind of cool. It plays without all that crackling noise and so on. It works pretty well. And the needles, you wouldn't think there's much to that needle. It's not that technical. But as you can see, it's just almost like a 4-penny nail with a really sharp edge, sharp point on it. But it does work. You put it in there, drop it in there, and it tells you to leave it stick out 1/4 of an inch, which it does when you drop it in all the way. And this picks up that sound and it blows it out this cone here, which is, like I said, kind of cool. So what I was going to do is start to take it apart and make a little video of all that coming apart. Now I don't know how many out there have a American Flyer station. I like the talking stations, and I like American Flyer accessories. I have a couple. I got the log loader. I got a sawmill. And I don't even remember what else. I got a couple other things, and they're pretty good. I mean, they work pretty well. I like them. They were pretty creative with their mechanisms. So first off, this is where the record is. So let me take that off for you and show you how that goes together. It's pretty quick and easy to change a record out. Take the washer off. This kind of holds the plate. This plate is pretty stout. It's a pretty thick steel plate. It's I don't know, 1/16 thick. It's pretty good thick metal. It's not going to warp. And there's the record. It's got 2 sides to it. Somebody wrote on this one, this was the best side. I think the old record that I had from my original station, it had the same sound on both. Each side had steam engine, whistle and chugging and so on. This one, I don't know which one's the best side. We'll find out once we play it. But so that goes on here, and this little spindle actually screws onto this stud, and it fits that record and keeps it centered. So now the other station I have for parts, it's missing this. I need to find one of these. It doesn't look like it's overly impossible to find one, but the thickness and then the shoulder, definitely unique for this function. So it may be a little harder to get. So that's the record. That's the record centering washer and the metal disc. This goes up and down because that is this piece right here. That is this gear. So when it's pressed down all the way and engaging, when it engages the worm drive gear, it won't slide around or go up and down. But when this is all taken apart, there's nothing holding this worm gear and horizontal gear in place. So anyway, the next step is I'm going to take the bulb out of here. The bulb did work. I put some power to it. Motor didn't do anything. You could hear that it took power because my transformer went down a little bit with noise. But red bulb, I think clear ones are probably what you want. But it did work. So with that said, to take it apart without too much difficulty, and clean everything, it's best to take the building off. Take the shell and take it apart, which I'm going to do. Let's see here. That is these inner ones. These inner tabs. Some are a little twisty. Some have been twisted. Let me get some better Some have been twisted, so we want to get those and straighten those out the best we can. That's part of the walkway. Yeah, some of these are walkway and some of these are building, because there is a ramp that goes around up here. So I think the gray ones are ramp and the red ones are building, so it doesn't hurt if you untwist them both. But I'm just try to remember to do the red ones. That's a ramp, this is a building, that's a ramp, I think this is a building. I could be mistaken. On the first one I worked on, I untwisted everything. Just to be sure. So like I said, this is making sure that everybody can see this okay. Some of them I need to get underneath. Let me get a fine screwdriver here, see if we can get underneath this one. And this one, just bend it up. This one here, just bend it up. This one here, just bend it up. Let's see what else we got. Oh, here's one hiding under the wires. See if we can get that one straightened out a little bit. I think I got all the ones that I need to get. I might have forgotten one here or missed one. That little stud is the hinge for the front door. That little spindle. I'm gonna move this roof out of the way and see if we got enough of this to take off. Did I forget any? Something stuck over here. So let me see which one I didn't get very well. Yeah. There we go. I think it's coming off now. Yeah, okay. Okay, so the only thing holding now is this little pin. That's going to need some work too, because it's not the way it's supposed to be. But I'm going to leave this kind of alone right now. Somebody bent this over, and it's supposed to go straight up into a hole here. This tab is, you got to watch not to lose that tab. So I'm going to let it go for now. We know this yellow wire goes to the light, so I'm going to take it loose. That way we can get rid of this right now. So it's in pretty good shape, other than, you know, the sliding glass or sliding metal doors, I should say. They're a little bent, got a couple kinks. We'll slide those all the way out, and we'll straighten those out later on. So I'm going to put this over here. Now we can work on this a little bit better. So, like I said, you don't have to take the ramps off. I noticed that this is a item, they should kind of roll together. I'm going to have to see why that these are out of sync to each other. So, with that said, I want to take this mechanism out of here and clean everything. So we want to just loosen this up a little bit. Take this off. Here's a ground wire. And there is a lock washer on here, so we want to get that off there too. Save all these little parts. Let me get a little tray to put these in. That way we can find everything, hopefully later. I'll put that over there. I think I'm going to take this off for now too. Get this, I'm going to stab myself with this probably. So we'll get that out of the way. Little O-ring fell off the bottom. It goes on this this gear. So we're going to show you where this came from. This came from here. So we want to save that. Remember where that goes. Oop. Okay, so put all that out of the way so we don't keep flipping it around. Okay. So far so good. All right, let's see what we got next. So we want to take this little, see if I can back this screw out at all. They put it under here for a reason. It's like they don't want this screw coming out all the way. Now what I could do, I don't want to do that, is drill out all these rivets and take this whole base right off. But I'm not going to really want to do that. So what I did on before is kind of I got to work that off of there. So, but to take this apart, it's an easy kind of a deal. A couple screws hold the motor down. There's a nut right here. We'll see how snug that is. There we go. Break that one loose. Okay, I'm going to see if I can hold that nut over there and break this one loose. Yeah, okay. All right. All right, so what we're going to do is take this off. My fingers are all slippery from oil. All right, we'll do it like this. There. These aren't very long, but they're very difficult to get to. Okay, so lock washer. We'll take this one, get this off of there. Okay, so we get that out of the way. We get these parts. I keep doing that. Keep dumping out my tray. That's not good. Okay. Oh boy. Awkward little thing. It does have some weight to it. This motor's heavy. So it does work freely, which is good. It's a good sign. So what we want to do, we can try this motor out, but I'm going to take this out too. So, all right, so now we got this. What I'm going to do to get this loose from here, I'm going to cut this side of the brush off, and I am going to probably shorten this up a little bit and put it back together. I don't know if masking tape was all that back in the day. So I'm going to cut this off here. We'll put these two wires back together later. So let me get to this where I can take this apart better. And yeah, I'm going to be able to take this apart. So I'm going to work at, I think what I'll do is just probably try to grind out of here a little bit with the old grinder. Some of that sheet metal, if I can get the screw dropped down and take this apart much easier than before. So I'll do that, and then I'll come right back on and show you where we're at. Be back shortly. Okay, so that wasn't so bad. It only took me about 30-40 seconds. So anyway, use my little Dremel, ground a little bit out of there. I was able to remove that screw because it just fits underneath that plate just enough you can't pull it out. And without that being able to be pulled out, it's very difficult to take this mechanism out of here. So that solved that problem. So I'm going to take this up very nicely, pull this out. There we go. So it's oily. I see this one here, and this one here is washer stuck over there. So there's a washer on each end, a fiber washer. So I noticed they have a fiber washer between these two. So I'm thinking they don't want these to obviously touch together, because they're handling some voltage each at a different time, so they can't touch and short out. So anyway, I'm going to clean these on my wire wheel, on my bench wheel. I'm going to put these over here in the parts. I'm going to set this aside for now. So here is the vertical worm drive, or should be a couple. There's a washer here. It's one brass single washer. I've seen these of two thin steel washers before. So I whatever I guess they had at the time to put them together with, that's what was on them. But so I'm going to put this in here as well. All this needs cleaned. I'm going to clean all this stuff off. And these here fingers, they're tarnished, a little filthy. This little arm, which runs the drum, actually will spin and start the record, and then when it gets that notch on the drum, will come up and tilt this forward and take the record off and start it again. So let's see here. I'll show you. Put this kind of back in there to some degree. See if we get that back in there. There. So that goes in there like that. So when these come around, see, this will activate this arm. See how it lifts that up? I don't know if you can see that very well. Hopefully you can see that. But this spinning around, as it rotates, it will lift this arm off of here. So it goes in like this. And as this goes around, see, this would lift that and start the record over again. It lifts it up, sends the needle out here, and then the record actually draws it in, and when the record's over, this will pick it up and start it at the beginning again. So that's what this drum does. This finger will actually move this and start it over. One of these fingers also activates the light. So when the record starts, the light comes on, and so on and so forth. Each has a task. And as you can see, these are pretty dirty. So I'm going to pull this part back out again. We're going to clean all this off, and I'm going to fix this into the place where it's supposed to be. I have to clean this all off. It's pretty greasy in here, and I think that's probably what part of it. This was supposed to be a nice snug fit on here, and it rotates all at once. The whole thing should rotate like this, not separately. So that's part of the issue there. So a lot of cleaning to do. I'm going to use some degreaser on Q-tips and get all this cleaned off. Use a little steel wool or my brush, Dremel brush, to clean these copper contactors. I'll clean this on the wire wheel, my bench wheel, this on the bench wheel, and we'll come back and see how clean I get these things, and we'll go and start putting them back together. So give me a little bit of time and I'll take care of that, and I'll be right back.